Canada just passed a controversial new hate speech law, and critics say it could have major consequences for religious freedoms. Some are even warning that long-standing biblical teachings could come under attack. So what's actually in the law, and is the Bible about to be banned in Canada? Let's get into it. Canada's Combating Hate Act, known as Bill C-9, has become one of the country's most controversial pieces of legislation. Supporters say the law is designed to combat rising hate crimes, protect places of worship, and strengthen penalties for hate-motivated offenses. The legislation creates new hate crime provisions, expands protections for religious and cultural institutions, and introduces new offenses related to intimidation and obstruction. But one provision has become the center of a growing political storm, because critics aren't focused on what was added, they're focused on what was removed. One of the most debated aspects of Bill C-9 is the removal of a long-standing criminal code defense related to good faith religious expression. Critics argue that removing this protection could make religious speech more vulnerable to hate speech complaints in the future. Religious liberty organizations, civil liberties groups, and some lawmakers have warned that the change could create uncertainty for pastors, churches, and people expressing traditional religious beliefs. And that's exactly where claims about the Bible began circulating online. And they're not wrong for having the concern. It's important to separate fact from speculation right now. There's currently no evidence that Canada has classified the Bible as hate speech. There is also no evidence that the law bans religious text. Instead, the debate centers around whether future interpretations of hate speech laws could place certain religious expressions under greater legal scrutiny. That's a very different claim than saying the Bible has been banned. But we certainly recognize that this is a pathway to banning the Bible down the road, and that is where the danger lies. So if the critics are worried, what does the government have to say? Supporters of Bill C-9 argue that the legislation is being misrepresented. Government officials maintain that freedom of religion remains protected under Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They argue that the law targets hate crimes, intimidation, and the promotion of hatred, not legitimate religious belief or peaceful religious practice. Supporters also point to rising hate crime statistics as justification for stronger legal tools. But why does this matter? The debate goes far beyond Canada. Across the Western world, governments are wrestling with the same question. How do you combat hatred without restricting free expression? Where is the line between protecting people and limiting speech? And who gets to decide where that line exists? Those questions are why this story is generating so much attention. If you just look at the Old Testament in the Bible and you go to the book of Leviticus, I believe it's chapter 28, where it's talking about same-sex marriage is an abomination in God's eye. Well, is that going to be considered hate speech in Canada to people who are proponents of same-sex marriage? And if it is hate speech, now you have a pathway to having that speech legally banned, so I can't even share parts of the Bible that exist and has actually exist for centuries. That is a problem. So what do you think? Is Canada's Combating Hate Act a necessary response to rising hate crimes? Or are the critics right to worry about its impact on free speech and religious liberty? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe and join us here at Screenaholics Report. I'm Coach. We'll see you guys on the next one.